How's it going, friends? So I decided to do a video for the vlog here where I go back and kind of reflect on my previous video about fears. Just kind of talking through whether these fears are legit, and my perception of these fears now that we're on the other side of the birth. So let's do this. And the reason why it sounds like I'm talking so fast here is because I'm speeding up the video.
Fatherhood is a coming for me. It's a coming for me like a freight train that can't be stopped. And I am like the woman that is tied up with ropes on the train tracks, and I'm about to be run over by this unstoppable, merciless force known as fatherhood.
That's kind of excessive. It's really not that dramatic.
I'm just going to share a couple thoughts about things that I am afraid of, because I think it's healthy.
I'm so glad that I spent 20 minutes finding an image of Are You Afraid of the Dark, scratched it out, wrote baby, and then sped it up. Talk about just bold filmmaking decisions.
You know, to express those fears. I have lots of joys about being a father, like tons of joys. They way outweigh the fears. One of the fears that I have is seeing my wife in labor. I don't want to see the woman that I love in that kind of pain. I feel like that's going to be tough for me to watch, but I'm hoping that in crisis mode, I'll be a little less concerned about myself and more concerned about just getting her through it. So I think I'll be okay, but that is a nagging fear in the back of my head.
That fear was probably the most legit fear on this vlog. Seeing Courtney in pain was it was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to go through in our marriage, and that's not an exaggeration. And I know she was the one in the pain, but husbands can probably relate. When you see your wife in pain, you want to fix things and you just can't. So that was really hard. There was one point where I almost lost it. I almost just broke down sobbing. But I knew that I wanted to be strong for Courtney. I knew there'd be plenty of time for crying later. And so by God's grace, I was able to hold it together. But this was hard.
Like, that's my deal. I don't want to be a liability to my wife who's giving birth to my son. Like, I don't want to be more of a burden. Like, oh, we have to take care of Matt and Courtney. Like, that's not cool. I want to be helpful, and I'm not helpful if I'm unconscious on the ground.
So I actually did totally fine. I didn't get queasy at all, which I was surprised about. The nurse that was giving us a tour of the hospital said that if you stay up by your wife's head, you can't see anything. But I'm pretty sure she doesn't have peripheral vision like the rest of us, because I have peripheral vision. And in that peripheral vision, I saw everything. So staying up by your wife's head does not do anything. You're still going to see stuff. But I managed to stay vertical. I wasn't even tempted to pass out at all. Didn't get queasy at all. So, I mean, it was amazing. I definitely expected myself to. But I even cut the cord. And, at one point the nurse was like, "Dad, you want to come see the head? It's popping out." And me and Courtney at the same time were just like, no. So I think that now that I know that I'm a little more comfortable than I thought I'd be, I'd probably take her up on that offer for baby number 2. But I wanted to make sure I was in the zone.
Okay, so confession, I have never changed a diaper, much less a poopy diaper, much less a rancid, swampy, yellow, green diaper that's filled with oozing feces, creeping in every crevice of the baby, every fold. There's feces in there. For some reason, whenever I catch a whiff of a baby's business, I just start I just start gagging, man. It's not that I get nauseated, okay? It's just that the reflex is triggered. Just catch a little whiff and start just start doing that, you know? And so I'm worried about that. Not because I'm worried about gagging. I mean, whatever, I'll power through it. I just want to be efficient. I don't want to be an inefficient diaper changer having to puke every time. I don't need a spill bucket by the changing table, okay?
So changing poopy diapers was the most incredible experience of my life. Not joking. I told my wife that the time that I felt the most bonded with Lincoln when he first came out was when I changed his first poopy diaper. And it wasn't like this ceremonial thing, like, dun dun dun, Matt's going to change his first diaper. Like, let's take a picture. It was just like, no, he's got a poopy diaper. I'll change it. Man, it's so different when it's your son, when it's your boy or your girl. It's not just, hey, I'm changing a baby's diaper. It's like, no, I'm changing my son. This is my son. I'm just cleaning him up. You know, I love him. I want him to be clean. It's just you go into it with a mindset that I couldn't possibly have known when I recorded this. But when I saw him, it's just like, this is my boy. I'm going to clean him up. I mean, it's not a big deal. Got poop all over my hands, you know, getting all the poop out of all his little folds. It's different when it's your kid. It's intimate in a way. So
I'm kind of scared that this baby's going to take over my life. And there's a selfish part of me, not going to lie, that thinks that I'm never going to be able to accomplish any of my goals ever again. I have an entrepreneurial spirit. I care a lot about my career. I care a lot about my creative work. I care a lot about my music. And these are things that are super important to me.
But none of it matters when you see your kid. I'm not going to say that this fear is not true. What I am going to say is that when you see your child, for me at least, it becomes a non-fear. It doesn't matter that you have to give up these things. Are there things that Courtney and I can't do? Are there businesses that I will never start? Are there goals that I probably won't be able to achieve because I have a kid? That single people and maybe married people with no kids, dual income, could achieve? Yeah, definitely there are things that I won't be able to do. And yeah, I am giving up stuff. We are giving up things when we have a child. All you do is sacrifice when you have a child. But when I held Lincoln, I genuinely said to Courtney, in relation to this video, actually, I said, you know, you remember that video I made about my fears? That last fear about not being able to do the things I want to do, it just dissipated. It just doesn't matter when you hold your child, not just a baby, not just like, oh, this thing I got to keep alive, but your flesh and blood. I genuinely said, you know, if I only raise him and do nothing else, no art, no, wild ideas, entrepreneurial ventures, creative projects, but I just raise him, it would be a noble life. It would be a fulfilled life. You know, does Courtney kind of need me to be on call, when I'm working on my music and stuff? Yeah, but I don't care. I'm more than happy to put this stuff down to go help her, to go see my son, to go spend time with them. And yeah, I mean, there's times it's, whatever. I'm in the middle of something and it's kind of like, oh boy, I'm not going to say it's all perfect in the middle of the night, especially. But man, it's like,
I might say that's my biggest fear. Yeah, I think that's it.
I have new biggest fears, like dropping him.
That is probably my biggest fear, that my life will be consumed. I'll never have time for anything else ever again, including my marriage. Hello. That's bigger than any hobby that I have.
I think my wife and I came into this with just really realistic expectations. We have lots of friends that are having babies. So we've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. We knew what we were getting ourselves into. We knew it was going to be tough. And so we weren't surprised. And if anything, we had low expectations and we were pleasantly surprised. I just feel selfish in this video, and I just feel like I would tell myself, you just don't know how you're going to fall in love with this kid when you see him, and how all these things about you and your time and your gagging and your, it's just, they just go away. They just get at least for me. Okay. This is just my perception. And this is just my experience. They go away. These crazy fears about him sucking up all my time and him having to change poopy diapers and losing sleep. I mean, dude, I am so happy that I have discovered that I can get by on such little sleep when I need to. I'm talking 2 hours a night. We got 5 hours last night, and we feel like we can run an Ironman. Like, I woke up out of bed and I heard POD. I feel so alive. Yeah. In my head, I heard that. I heard that song. Anyway.